What's going on, guys? It's your boy ScooteyBootey. Welcome to a brand new video. Today's video we're going over tips to mastering Wesker. Without further ado, let's get into the tips. So you want to master Mr. Burrows. I got you. We are going to start with his text / mechanics, then I'll give you some individual tips to help you improve. For his text, we're going to start easy to hard. Let's do it. Number 1, Earl Bend. So with Earl Bending, it's its most useful and its easiest, so yippee for you. Earl Bending is used to either zone a survivor or to make a grab from around a wall. That's it, to be honest. So to Earl Bend, you of course start your dash, and then while you are dashing, you turn your mouse or joystick towards where you want your bound to end up. I'll have examples to explain what I mean. It's very easy, and it's the easiest thing about Wesker. Number 2, rebounds. Rebounding is definitely the second easiest tech for Wesker. With rebounds, you want to aim at an object, use your first bound to hit said object, and hold either A or D, left or right, to bounce into that position. It's useful in certain tiles like Statue Room and RPD, for example. They are strongest on lockers, so keep that in mind. Number 3, double taps. Double taps are quite easy, but are a bit more difficult. With double taps, you're going to use your first bound when you are close to an object, so it's a very quick bound. Then you use your second one to finish up and get your grab. The idea behind it is that your second bound goes further than your first, unless you're using, Unicorn Medallion. So if you notice a survivor that's just out of reach of your first bound, you would do a double tap. Number 4, Skinny Bird. Skinny birding is a useful tech to use because it helps you get around objects to position yourself for your second bound. So with skinny birding, it can be tricky at first, but you want to go around and test this on a few objects. Skinny birding is basically breaking the game's code. How Wesker works is the game calculates where his bound will end up while you're looking at an object. For example, the game is reading I will travel a meter or two to hit this object, so that's all that it will allow me to do. With skinny birding, you can find an angle that will force you to bump off the object and continue moving. The game is reading that you are bounding into an open area, so you will get that full first bound instead of getting limited by a structure. This is confusing as hell, I understand, yet it's very simple. I just suck at wording things. I'll of course have examples showing what I mean. Just practice this on certain tiles and you'll get it down in no time. Number 5, Sky Wesker. With Sky Wesker, it is very dependent on hills, yet every hill is different for each realm. I can do a complete guide on all hills if you guys want and make a complete Sky Wesker guide, yet for now the biggest tip I will give is make sure you dash off of parts of a hill that have a slope drop off versus hills that have a straight drop. For now, I'll show some parts of Macmillan Hills that are great for Sky Wesker. Number 6, pause tech. So pause teching is a little bit different than Sky Wesker. What you do is you try to bound off an edge, but you have to time this exactly right. You bound and very quickly hit pause. This will send your Wesker flying. This is harder just because of the timing, yet you just need to practice. Number 7, pallet sliding. So pallet slides are purely for fashion. When it comes to pallet slides, when a survivor is approaching a pallet and you pull out your bound, you use your bound at the pallet when you see the survivor starting the pallet drop animation. Make sure you're aiming at the right or left corner of the pallet, and that will send you to whatever direction you are aiming towards. Number 8, hug text. This is where we get really difficult. Hug text on Weskers are very tricky because it is literally based off of pixels. Like I said before, with skinny birds, remember that Wesker's distance is predetermined when you're about to use your bound. So what we do with hug text is we line up on a wall, car, etc. and we practice going like this. If you notice, when I get behind the tile more, my bound prompt disappears. We want to time using our bound exactly before our bound prompt disappears. If we do this correctly, we will get a hug tech. A little tip to this, it is easier to do on higher frames, aka FPS, yet your hug text will have less distance. It is harder to do on lower FPS, yet your hug text will go further. I play on 90 FPS whenever I play Wesker. This is the sweet spot in my opinion. Keep practicing going back and forth and learning the timing. Also, like I said before, your distance is predetermined, so make sure whenever you're attempting the hug tech that you were doing it on the open side and not the side that has something that would interfere with your bound distance. Number 9, slides. So with slides, this is where skinny birds come into play, except we are gonna go a little bit wider. The thing with slides is we want to go wider than needed with a skinny bird, but not too wide because we want to bump off of the wall or object as you see here. I did it with a wall, and here I did it with a hook. You can use light posts, poles, trees, and a ton of other objects that are really difficult to do because you have to understand Wesker's collision. So keep practicing this and you'll be able to slide / scoot tech in no time. Number 10, flicks. Flicks are easily the hardest and most important mechanic to Wesker. So at Wesker, most of you know, even if you are just a beginner of Wesker, your first bound is your setup bound and your second is your finishing bound. With flicks, you are using your first bound to position and then flicking with your second to get a very quick hit or grab. These are insanely difficult because you have to be very precise. My biggest tip for this is to find a DPI, of course if you're on PC, an in-game sensitivity that you are comfortable with and stick to it. Do not change it once you get comfortable with it because you will basically have to relearn it all over again. Learn how much you should flick on certain tiles. I don't have much footage on this, so here's some footage from the GOAT Crohmbs. Next up, instant rebounds. So with instant rebounds, it's where you use an object that causes you to bounce, and then it bounces you towards the edge of a wall, and when you get to the edge of the wall, use your second bound, which will then create a instant rebound tech. This tech is very difficult because it requires knowledge of what's reboundable for Wesker, and difficult because you have to get the timing down exactly right in order to get this tech. Speaking of insta-hugs, insta-hug tech. This is by far the hardest tech humanly possible for Wesker. Insta-hugs require knowledge of Wesker's bound distance and precise timing. What you do is use your first bound to the edge of whatever you want to hug tech, and then you use your second bound exactly as your first bound ends. Be careful though, because if you do it too early, you would just bound regular, and if you do it too late, you won't bound at all. If you bound exactly right, you would do the insta-hug tech. Special mention. Not really a tech, but fake breaking. So many times I catch survivors with this. You walk up to a pallet and pull out your power. This makes it look like Wesker is gonna break it. If they're smart, they'll hear Wesker's chuckle, which is a giveaway, considering Wesker doesn't chuckle when he actually breaks pallets or kick gens, etc. So now that we are done with Wesker's mechanics, let's go over some general tips for him. Number 1, Wesker's mobility. Wesker's mobility is one of the best, minus Sky Wesker and Paul's Technic. You can still get around the map pretty quick. Do not be afraid to use your bounce and move around the map, and even to catch up to a survivor who use sprint bursts or life, etc. Wesker's mobility is what ranks him so high on a lot of people's tier list. Number 2, V7 shape. My number 1 tip to play tiles is always V7 shaping on a tile. So many tiles are playable with using the V7 shape, and here's how it's done. You use your first bound for positioning, second bound for finishing, right? So let's pretend we're playing Seawall, and I know someone is playing the pallet. My dash would be here, and then my second dash would be my finisher. This is the same for a lot of tiles like Shack and iTile. Number 3, infection. So Wesker's power is not only great for lethality and mobility, but did you know that the more people you have infected, the quicker your slowdown for your power is? This is why it's always great to infect people if they are not. And this is what makes this eerie add-on so strong. Your first chase should be insanely quick. Number 4, test add-ons. When I first started playing Wesker, I was an avid unicorn medallion user. Now, I personally hate it. I now use gloves and egg, which are his strongest add-ons in my opinion, because gloves is for recovery and egg is to get around tiles. Yet Tendril is good, Beetle is good for throws, especially paired with Lion Medallion, Walkie is good if you're going for clips, Crank is good, and there's so many other great ones. Like when I want to meme around, I bring a full stealth build with gloves and bullhorn, which makes the survivor oblivious after using his spray. So I bring that and then bring a Midwich add-on and just have fun. There's so many good add-on combos for him, and that's what makes him so fun to play. Don't be afraid to test out all his add-ons. Number 5, watch Wesker players. This is my tip for anyone whenever they want to start learning a killer. It doesn't matter if it's just Wesker. I will leave below some people to watch that are just insane Wesker players that you can learn off of. They're all streamers and YouTubers, and trust me when I say that you will become better while watching them. That's how I personally learned. Mine is from playing Wesker a ton. When I wasn't playing him, I was always watching people play him. If you enjoyed this video though, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and hit that bell to get notified when I post a brand new video. Ciao for now. If you're still here, I just wanted to say that I really apologize for my inactivity. I've been extremely busy. For those that don't know, I've moved halfway across the country, and as well as I now have a full-time job that basically requires me to like work, sleep, and repeat. But I'm really gonna try to get more videos out for you guys with survivor content, killer content, just Dead by Daylight content, and potentially other things if that's what you guys want. But I just wanted to come here and say that I do apologize for my inactivity. I'm really gonna try to hustle out some videos for you guys. And yeah, just wanted to say that I apologize for that. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.